In this video, we are going to create a public DNS zone, delegate to the Azure DNS, and create a couple of child subdomains. I am on the Azure portal. Before creating a public DNS zone, you need to ensure that you have a domain registrar with the DNS registrar. In this particular demo, I have a domain which is called securevantage.eu, which is already registered with GoDaddy. GoDaddy is one of the registrar, right? And it is available for us to use in this particular demo. You cannot buy the domain in Azure. That something is not possible. This is not the case with AWS. In AWS with Route 53, you can buy the domain. But in Azure, it is not possible. So first thing is that you need to ensure that the domain is bought and it is available for use. So we have this particular securevantage.eu available. Now let's go ahead and create the public DNS zone. How do we create? Let's go and create the resource group first to host the public DNS zone. Let's name this one public-zones. And let's place this one in Australia East. Validation pass, resource group is created. And now what we do, we basically go and create the zone, public zone, DNS zone. That's the DNS zone. Create DNS zone. Now let's go ahead and select the resource group first. Now this particular name that you give here has to be exactly like your domain. All right. So if you register securevantage.eu, then make sure that it is exactly given as it is. You can't basically have any kind of deviation in this, So we putting that name as it is. And let's go ahead and say, what is this? Okay, we're not bothered about DNS editor at this stage. Let's go ahead and say review and create. All right. Validation pass, create the public DNS zone. Our public DNS zone is created. Let's go to the resource and let's click on the record side. Now in the record side, we see two records, NS record and SOA record. Now NS records are the records that we have to add on DNS registrar portal for the name server. We have to basically replace the name server given by the DNS registrar with these name servers for a delegation to work. So let's go ahead and do that. We are back on this particular DNS registrar page. Let's go to the name server. In the name server, we got a two name server given by the domain registrar. We change this one and we will say we will use our ones. Let's go back and let me click on the edit button. Let's take this guy as it is. All right, so we go ahead and add that. Let's remove the dot from here. I think it's not needed now. Previously it used to be, but now I don't feel that the dot is needed. Let's remove this one and click two more and let's copy that. Now Azure always gives you 4 name servers, so you should use all of them. You should not just try to use one of them, and that is the best practice suggested by Azure itself. So I added these name servers. I'll say save. I might get some kind of message here. That is fine. I don't have any website hosted. All right. So now these particular records are added here. We should go ahead and refresh the page just to make sure that we see those name servers. I can see that our custom name servers are added here. Let's look at the overview. Let's look at the DNS record rather than the overview. And DNS records, we don't see now anything here. So here, if we refresh now, all right, what is essential at this stage, we don't know whether these name servers have been replicated across the globe or not, whether our change is basically replicated or not. So what is the first thing that we need to do? We have to see that it is replicated. So what we can do, this is the website that we can use to check whether our change is replicated across the globe or not. So we basically just say here secure vantage.au, and the record that we are interested in is NS, and let's ensure that whether it is seen by the servers or not. You can see that the change, like all of them are Azure DNS servers, right? So it looks like to me that name servers are replicated across the globe. Whatever the record is, those records you can manage from here. You don't need to go on the DNS portal, DNS registrar portal, to manage any kind of A record or CNAME record or 4A records for public interface. You can all do that through the Azure. Now this process, whatever that we did now, is called the DNS delegation. So we just delegated securevantage.au from the GoDaddy DNS registrar to Azure. All right. Now, second thing, how to create a child record. Let's say you are interested, to create a kind of child record called staging. We go again to the zone, DNS zone. And what is that we're going to do? We going to call this one again in the public zone called, let's say, stage. You might want to host a record called stage for staging environment. And you might create something like this, right? Just go ahead and say review and create. All right, and create. That is the one subdomain you created, but that subdomain we just want to make sure that again is replicated, right? So we go to the resource. In this particular case, make sure that we got a record set in this case, and what is that we need to do? Let's do one thing. Let's open another tab and we go to the parent DNS zone. All right, so parent DNS zone, let's go back to the home, not like a private one. Let's make sure that we go to the DNS zone. That's the parent one. And on the parent side, what is that we need to do? We have to add a record. And that is going to be the ENS record, name server record. We can leave all of them as it is. And we copy all these name servers again in this particular case. Let's go ahead and copy as it is, one at a time. So I am going to call this one like this. Let's copy the another record for this particular subdomain. Let's go back and pick up the third one for the subdomain, adding third one, and let's go ahead and add the fourth one for the subdomain. All right, so and we say add. So that NS record is added here. Now that domain, whatever child domain we created, is now linked to the parent domain. So on the DNS checker, we can go back and check once again whether stage.securevantage.au is replicated across the globe or not. So let's go ahead and say stage securevantage.au. And again, in this case, we are interested in the NS record, and let's see what we get. You can see that it is still replicating. It's not replicated across all the root servers, but there is a good change. This is how you ensure that whatever the change that you did in the Azure DNS is basically working. It's just because of you may not have the whole setup by the time with you to check the endpoint, right? So this is the way that you can ensure that your like a subdomain is basically going to work. In meanwhile, let's go back to the DNS zone once again. And what is that I'm gonna do? I'm going to create the other one. We call the other one, let's say, email. Let me place this in the public zone. We call this one as email. Again, secure vantage.au. That has to be exactly like that. And we say create. Okay, we go ahead and create this one. And we just wait for this operation to finish, and we add those name servers again in the parent one. All right, so operation is finished. Let's go to the record set. We pick up this name server once again. Let's pick up one at a time. I am going to pick the first one, and let's go back to this one. In this case as well, we're going to add that NS record once again for the subdomain called email. You name something like that and select the record as NS record. Put that first server there. Let's copy the second server, and let's make sure that we're adding the second one as well. We copy the third one, and let's add the third one in this case, and copy the last one, and we go ahead and copy the last one here, right? And we say add record. All right, so if you look at the name server for both the domains are different. So going back again on the DNS checker, and if you try to now stage.securevantage.au and you try to see whether NS records are replicated or not, you can see that some of them replicated across the globe, not all of them. And similar thing for the other domain as well. This is how you can check the propagation across the world, right? And for the email as well, for some of them is replicated. You can see that not all the things, and you can pretty much see those like the NS server as well. Okay, and now once it is replicated, once you see that it is all replicated, again that replication depends on the TTL that we specify there, right? 3600 TTL, which is I think 1 hour is a second. So it might take that much time to replicate across the world actually. And once it is done, then these particular subdomains you can plan to use, right? Then you can add your A public record or AAA public record or CNAME in the public DNS zone. Note that if you try to add private record, it won't resolve. All right, so whatever that we talking around public DNS zone, it has to be only public records, like a record pointing to another public IP, or 4A record pointing to another IPv6 public IP, right? Or CNAME record, something like that. So that's what you need to understand when you work the public DNS zone. So that's how delegation works, and that's how subdomain creation works.